இன்றைய கேள்வி களம் நிகழ்ச்சியில் நம்முடன் இணைந்திருப்பவர் த டார்கெட் என்ற புத்தகத்தினுடைய ஆசிரியர் சாந்தனு குஹாரை அவர்கள். வணக்கம்.
நமஸ்காரம்.
What this book all about, the target?
See, the NSCL scam happened in 2014. I started looking into the story. I did a cover story for a legal magazine. I don't really work for Indian publications. I sometimes report for them. I work for a European news agency. But I was told by Indrajit Badwa, the former editor of India Today, that I should take a closer look at this, because we have a tendency in this country, whenever something is called a scam, and that too from stock markets, we tend to ignore it, because we just have to find a villain and we say, okay, he's the man, he must have taken all the money away. But ironically, in a situation like this, I found that the money was taken away by people who actually admitted it in court, the traders, that they had taken the money away illegally and they were ready to return the money. Ironically, that should have easily solved the crisis and the company should have continued to operate. But in one shot, the government of the UPA too, under the influence of some powerful bureaucrats and a very powerful minister whose image I have printed on front of the cover, in one shot they decided that NSCL, or the National Spot Exchange Limited, should not conduct business and should be called unfair business and should be taken away from the market. The moment they closed that business, all hell broke loose and more losses accumulated. In any other cases, these kind of situations can easily be handled. For the layman who may not follow the commodities market, if one explains how did this happen, Jignesh Shah, who in my opinion created really some of the world-class exchanges, was identified as a target because people in Delhi wanted to promote the National Stock Exchange, or the NSE, as compared to Jignesh Shah's exchanges. In this battle between exchanges, the biggest victim of Jignesh Shah, sent to jail thrice, nothing has been proved against it, nothing has been proved against him, and as a result, if you notice, 3 times he has gone to jail, 3 times he has come out of jail. Now the judges have said that no proof of illegal cash has been found with Jignesh Shah. But the overall, what happened was his entire companies collapsed. Today, the exchanges he created with great fondness are all away from his hand. Exchanges in Dubai, exchanges in Mauritius, Botswana, Singapore. He actually thought ahead of his time. As I was explaining that in Chennai, I find a lot of peace, because in the great north-south divide, understanding Delhi, understanding the politics of Delhi, understanding the backroom mechanizations of Delhi is very, very difficult, yet very important for all industrialists in this country, because Delhi somehow symbolizes the power. Jignesh Shah somehow could not understand the politics of Delhi, and he had to pay a price for it. Many people often ask me, will he be able to resurrect himself? I think it's a Herculean task. All the exchanges have been taken away from him. He is saddled with his only company, the Financial Technologies Limited. Now the name has been changed to 63 Moons Technology. But for a Jignesh Shah who calls himself a fighter, I wish I could have talked to him. The man who calls himself a fighter, the way he came up, I think it's very, very difficult for him to come up, and very, very difficult for him to get into a real big game again and do some great work. What would have happened if Jignesh Shah would have stayed? His companies would have been what you call the ideal make in India companies. Those companies were very vital, very important. I think those are issues one needs to debate. Is India debating it? I doubt that very much. I think Indians are in a country where there are more than 1300 newspapers, 250 news channels, more than 400 magazines, and a large number of news portals. I think we live by the day and die by the day. For hundreds of people in India, the Jignesh Shah story is almost over, which is sad, which is unfortunate.
Who's this Jignesh Shah and what was doing earlier?
Jignesh Shah's great achievement was, like if you read Ayn Rand's Fountainhead, he was like that iconic character of John Galt, who travelled from Gujarat, was seen as an outsider in Bombay, now Mumbai, and he started developing his company. He belonged to a family of businessmen, but he had great ideas so that he would create some world class exchanges and run. Can you do great business in India without being politically aligned? I don't think so. All businesses are politically aligned in this country. So I guess somewhere Jignesh Shah also remained politically aligned with some people, and that was not liked by the rivals. He was from a small town in Gujarat. He came to Mumbai, joined the Bombay Stock Exchange, did some pioneering work there, which is still continuing, and then he shifted out, and one day with a very close team of his family members and close family friends, he started this company, which eventually became the Financial Technologies India Limited, and that grew, and they started the subsidiaries, the India Energy Exchange, the National Spot Exchange, the MCX, Singapore Exchange, then eventually a stock exchange he created. All of this was basically to drive markets, basically to drive entrepreneurship, basically to get more people jobs. Now what has happened? Losses have happened. Many people have lost their jobs. And if you look at the companies, the way they were operating when it was under Jignesh Shah and the way they are operating now, you will see the difference. I think somewhere India must understand, and India, these kind of cases should not happen. If more and more cases like this happen, people might lose interest in investing in India.
The targets whom? The politician, bureaucrats, or the person, Jignesh Shah?
The target is Jignesh Shah. Who targeted him? A set of powerful bureaucrats and a very powerful minister. Why they targeted him, I have explained earlier in the book also, that they all surrounded him like in the Mahabharata, the Chakravyuh, and they waited for him to get in. Once they got him, Jignesh Shah could not come out. People give mythological examples everywhere. I always believe that in a battle everything should be fair. But if there is no honor in a war, then that war is a one-sided war. In almost even in Mahabharata, the last fight of Mahabharata was between Bhima and Duryodhana. Even there was an unfair attack by Bhima on Duryodhana, because Duryodhana was hit below his navel, and which in the rules of the fight was unfair. You cannot, when you are using a mace and fighting the Gada Yuddha, you cannot use and hit somebody in the leg, because you have to hit the upper part of the body. So these kind of things constantly happen in India, and as I come from Delhi, I understand Delhi's politics. Being politically aligned is very important. If you notice the recent fight between Cyrus Mistry and Tata, both of them rushed to Delhi. Now it once again gives me this feeling that Delhi is an important place of power, and if you understand the politics of Delhi, people who run Delhi, they run the country. Somewhere Jignesh Shah failed to understand that, and he became a target.
And who are these bureaucrats and the politicians? Why they targeted him? Because some murkier things going around in the exchanges, or what is the real reason?
The idea was very clear. The idea was to push NSE to greater heights. Now the scandals of NSE are slowly coming out. But at one time, with proof, evidences and letters, everything in the book, I have mentioned how these two very, very powerful bureaucrats, K.P. Krishnan and Ramesh Abhishek, under the influence of the then Finance Minister P. Chidambaram, they all worked hands in gloves to ensure that Jignesh Shah does not succeed. Is it unfair? Yes, it is unfair. So what do? You will have to only go to the courts and seek justice. As of now, there are multiple cases leveled in the courts. The cases are going on. I can guarantee you these cases will go on for another 10 years. By the time, we all might grow old. We could be in our sunset years. But these great institutions which were created once, they will have already died. Will Jignesh Shah resurrect himself and try and do it? No. If you read Ayn Rand's Fountainhead, even John Galt, after a certain time, he had to fall, because he could not cope up with the machinery, the government machinery that existed, because they felt that John Galt was ahead of his time. Jignesh Shah's character somewhere fits into the John Galt character, that he tried hard, did some great work, but he was thinking ahead. Many people didn't like it.
The Enforcement Directorate filed a case against him. There was an involvement of 5,600 crore scam in the National Spot Exchange. So, is it true that they are giving all the documents to the court and saying that this
Okay. Let me argue this out. The 5,600 crore scam, when it first came out, it was called a 20,000, 50,000 crore scam. Slowly the numbers have started dwindling. The enforcement directorate have said that money was taken away illegally and parked at various foreign shores in those international zones where people keep their illegal money. The evidences of that are already there in the court. People who have taken the money out have admitted in the court. Only recently, barely 2 months ago, the SEBI has actually stopped their operations. They have told all those traders and brokers that you must return the money, otherwise your properties will be attached, and that process has started. My question is, how come this process was not started 3 years ago? Companies could have been saved. Was it not done deliberately to paint Jignesha as a fraudster, a scamster, a villain? I think yes. The idea was to put him in a spot where the entire nation would see him as a fraudster, a scamster, a villain, and not as a visionary industrialist.
So, you are saying Jignesha is innocent and is being victimized by the political cloud?
I think Jignesha has been victimized by the political cloud. Let the courts decide it. As of now, 3 courts have already said the money did not go to Jignesha. Once again, I am not saying the scam did not take place. The scam did take place. NSCL pledged some money. They were ready to pay some more money. The brokers have returned some money. If you notice very carefully, it is a matter of laughing stock. As of now, a lot of money is there on table. It has to be given to people. The balance is now just about 1,500 crores. So, almost 3,000 to 4,000 crores is back. The money taken by those traders, they have almost returned it. Why didn't they return it earlier? Why didn't the ED, the enforcement, the EOW go after them? Those were government agencies. The EOW works under the Mumbai police, the ED works under the Home Ministry. There are the DRI works under the Finance Ministry. Easily these things could have been handled, but it was not done. A story was painted to explain that Jignesha actually has taken all the money away. He is the scamster, he is a fraud. And in this country, the media trial at times becomes big as compared to any other trial. Let us not forget, in the great cricket scam which we are talking about in 2013, all those people arrested, including Srishant and the rest of the players, for the great investigation done by Delhi police and Mumbai police, a lower court in Delhi threw the case out of the window. All the players have been released. There are no cases on them. Has somebody asked the BCCI that why haven't you take those players back? The ban still stays. Is that unfortunate? Yes, it is unfortunate. Have we asked that how come the Supreme Court has not released the envelope that has the name of those 12 cricketers who have to be investigated for their possible involvement in spot fixing? The answer is no. I think somewhere certain decisions are not taken even by the biggest of courts in this country. I get a feeling that one day Jignesha will come clean, but I also get this feeling that will be too late.
Okay, and this NSE or a National Spot Exchange, this is because of the ego of the government, that the one person is coming out and setting up the exchange his own style. Is that a ego clash?
The egos have always played a larger role in the country. Look at the iconic fight between Dhirubhai Ambani and Nasli Wadia. There is a story that has found mention in the books on Ambani, where they say when he would walk in to the Belvedere Club of Oberoi for a cup of tea, the members of the Mumbai club, they would laugh at him because he would wear a safari suit. So one day Dhirubhai Ambani told his men, let's wear black pants and white shirts and let's go in. So they were thought that they are lawyers who have come in. So the laughing stopped. Jignesha was considered an outsider. The powerful body of brokers which are known as the Malabar Club, because they all stay in Malabar Hill, which is the most expensive area in Mumbai, they all ganged up against him. Outsiders have rarely succeeded in this country. Like my book, there is already a book out in the market which has put the cover the man who wanted to be Dhirubhai Ambani, Jignesh Shah. So maybe where Dhirubhai succeeded, he failed. Did Dhirubhai understand the mechanisms of Delhi better than Jignesh Shah? I guess he did. Maybe he knew that Delhi was a very, very important zone, and understanding Delhi was equally important. You are planning big. Jignesh Shah just planned big. I don't think he understood Delhi, and he lost the battle in Delhi, though he had won the battle in Mumbai. Once again, I will come back to the same point. Will he succeed now? If he is absolved, let the courts decide. There are at least 10 to 15 cases in the court. The cases are going on. There are cases involving Jignesh Shah and directors of NSCL. There are cases involving Jignesh Shah alone. There are cases involving the brokers and the traders. There are cases against the FTIL. There are cases pushing for the FTIL and NSCL merger. It's a real hodgepodge game here. At the end of the day, even if all cases settle down, I really doubt that these kind of exchanges will never see the light of the day. And that is sad, that is unfortunate.
What was the role of then Finance Minister Chidambaram in this case?
I think Chidambaram had a serious problem with Jignesh Shah and his operations. He didn't make it very clear, but instruction issued by the Finance Ministry and promptly followed by the bureaucrats under the Finance Ministry all point towards the fact that the basic idea of the government was to push the national stock exchange to whatever greater heights, come what may, including companies, state-owned companies were told to pick up stake or dilute stake so that NSE remains on a perennial high. Examples of that I have listed in the book. I have given letters which I have sourced through RTI. I mean, it has taken me more than almost 2 years to write that. Yes, that's why I have put the photograph of the minister and the two bureaucrats right on the cover.
Okay, in that case, Finance Minister's family also involved many issues in Sarada's, Chitcam, all that. It is there. So, any family members of Finance Minister also involved?
As of now, I haven't heard of the former Finance Ministers, whether the family members were involved. But there is a saying in Delhi that Karthi Chidambaram has big stakes in NSE. There are cases coming up slowly now. The ED is investigating his role and the role of his father in the Aircel Maxis case. Other roles of how even Nalini Chidambaram's involvement in the Sarada scam on Bengal. These cases are coming out. But what happens in this case, nobody follows in the country. I mean, nobody gives a damn.
Okay, what do you think about the present government, whether they can go with this kind of ideas, what you said earlier, that making of India by the Prime Minister Modi?
The Make India campaign of Modi is a brilliant campaign encouraging Indians to get into entrepreneurships. Our current Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has time and again said in Parliament, it is better to create something than look for jobs. Companies can always be created, companies can go greater heights. But if companies meet the same fate as what this man has met, then there will be a problem.
Yeah, in the past we know that some of the cases like Harshad Mehta, Parekh, Hetan Parekh, all that were there. Can we compare the same with Jignesh Shah's case, or it's a different?
No, I think it will be very unfair to compare that. Harshad Mehta didn't create great institutions. Hetan Parekh did not create great institutions. These guys were great stock market players, and they manipulated the stock exchanges to earn great money for themselves, which they admitted in court. This guy created exchanges for the masses. I mean, you know, great ideas come up, but great ideas sometimes don't take shape because of political mechanization. Don't forget, the Singapore airline Tata joint venture could never take place because of certain politics that was played there. The great farm to fork plan of Mukesh Ambani, where you would cut out all the middlemen to source vegetable right from the farm right to your home, could never take shape. Great ideas sometimes work, sometimes ideas become big, sometimes those ideas are even crushed, as it happened in this case.
Did you get any information or any reply from the Finance Ministry or from Mr. Chidambaram on this particular?
As of now, he hasn't sued me. If he tomorrow sues me, I'll have to fight the case in the court. I think it's been 3 months, the book is in the market. The sales have been very good. It is still the #1 bestseller in the Amazon, in the crosswords. I think if journalists do honest investigation, even the government knows that you don't take sides, they have done honestly what has happened. I had scooped the coal scam. India Today broke the coal scam story much before Times of India did. The GMR-led airport scandal was my story. I had gone after this big Hawala dealer in Pune called Hassan Ali. I have traveled across the world to do stories on blood diamonds. So I've done it. Haven't people slapped cases? Yes, they have. Like right now, I'm in court in Delhi, where I named a top cricket bookie, and he has sued me and the magazine for which I wrote the article. We are fighting that case. Corrupt officials of Coal India have filed cases against us. We are fighting that in the case. So this struggle will go on. Journalists should have fire in their belly and they should work. It's as simple as that. If they align with somebody or the other, then cash takes preference and journalism dies.
That's right. Did you meet this person, Jignesh, any point of time? And
I met him much before the NSCL scandal had happened. It's very strange, and I told him that, you must document all this and write a nice book on the kind of work you have done. And he had told me, no, but I'm a very low profile guy. Why do I need to? We must do quality work. That's important. And then I eventually met a couple of years later, then the NSC case had happened, and all NSCL case had happened, and all kind of things were happening. Then his story was almost over. So, no, he didn't talk to me. I could not speak to him. The quotes I have used is from his previous interviews, which I did. I met him at the World Economic Forum, and I guess it is sad, it is unfortunate. I wish he had talked to me. I wish I could have included a huge interview in that book. Would have been better, but it didn't happen.
இந்த டார்கெட் புத்தகத்தை பற்றி உங்களுடைய தெளிவான கருத்துக்களை முன்வைத்ததற்கு உங்களுக்கு மிகவும் நன்றி.
Thank you. நமஸ்காரம்.
வணக்கம். மீண்டும் ஒரு கேள்வி களம் நிகழ்ச்சியில் ஒரு சிறப்பு விருந்தினருடன் உங்களை சந்திக்கிறேன். வணக்கம்.